following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds like 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a Friday afternoon in Nashville. Let's get the hair taken care of. To heck with all that. Man, we have got a big football weekend coming and a lot of really cool stuff on the show today. I'll tell you up front, at 5 o'clock, we've got an interview you're going to want to hear with Seth Wickersham from ESPN. He has written what has turned out to be a New York Times bestseller, top 10 in the country, the book about Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Robert Kraft. And the interview is amazing. It is something you are absolutely going to want to hear. We'll talk a little Tennessee, Florida. Imagine that. And we got a lot of things going on the show today. Big night of high school football, big Saturday of college football with Tennessee, Florida getting a ton of pub. And then, of course, Sunday, the Titans trying to get back into the win column. It would be the first time in 2022 against the Raiders. Billy, how are you today?
George, I'm doing great. We've got a loaded show today. We've got 3 guests. Usually got 2. We got 3 today. Of course, big night of high school football tonight, but a lot of football all over the place this weekend.
Friday Night Live will begin, give or take, somewhere 6 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after, but it is a long show, and it's a fun show, and you're going to want to be around for it. Let's check in with Terry McCormick. Watson has the day off, as is the case oftentimes on Friday. Terry, of course, leads off every show with our daily Titans update. Terry, what's the injury situation look like for Sunday?
Well, George, the Titans have 4 guys that they're declaring out for the game. Those 4, Taylor Lewan, Bud Dupree, Ola Adeni, and Ugo Amadi. So a little bit of a variety there. They got 2 outside linebackers out. Of course, they'd already lost Harold Landry before the season started. So they are going to be very thin there. It's going to be Rashad Weaver, Derek Tuska. You might see Danico Autry slip out there a little bit. And otherwise, it's going to be just whoever can handle the spot.
Okay, you've been out there a lot this week. They have got their backs against the wall. Of course, we said that a week ago when they laid the egg in Buffalo. Do you see anything different, any sense of an urgency that maybe you have not seen so far?
Well, I mean, I think they're working to try and get back, doing the fundamental things and the things that they do. I don't sense any panic out there, but we don't get to watch a lot of practice anymore, maybe the first 10 to 15, 20 minutes of it. And then once they start executing the things that go into their plan of attack, we're sitting inside and don't get to see it anymore. But, I get the feeling that this team kind of knows the situation, that it's going to take all hands on deck. It's going to take a solid effort that's free from mistakes. I believe they feel like that the embarrassment up in Buffalo was in large part a product of them just completely botching it and making a lot of mistakes. Now, I happen to think that it's deeper than that because, when you look at the personnel that they have out there because of the injuries, because of some of the offseason moves like trading A.J. Brown, I just feel like that this team maybe is a little bit thin on experience and a little bit thin on personnel in terms of doing what they want to do on both sides of the ball, especially offense.
Terry, you know what the water cooler talk is around this city right now. There's a lot of grumbling and mumbling that Derrick Henry is not 100% back from his injury a year ago. I don't buy that. I don't have any proof. I'm not a doctor. You're not either. But what's your gut feeling?
I think Derrick, he may not be the same Derrick he was 2 or 3 years ago, but I think he's still plenty good enough if they could keep from having him get hit in the backfield all the time. And I'm going to borrow this from fellow beat writer Teron Davenport, who told me a stat today. He said that of Derrick Henry's 34 carries, 16 times he's been hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Derrick Henry or Walter Payton or Emmitt Smith or Earl Campbell. If you're getting hit that much at the line or in the backfield, you're not going to gain as many yards as you usually do.
Okay, it's clear. I think anybody can figure this out. They've got offensive line issues right now. And with Taylor Lewan out Sunday, it gets even worse. Do you sense anything that may be going on that sounds like, okay, they're about to bring somebody in here, offensive line wise, that could make a difference?
Jordan, I don't think there's anybody out there to bring in. Everybody that's good enough is already on a roster somewhere, and I don't know that making a trade and trying to integrate somebody into your system at this juncture would pay dividends quickly enough to be able to really do a whole lot with it. I mean, you could go out and make a trade, but I don't see anything like that on the horizon. I think, at this point, you kind of got the cards that you've been dealt and you got to play them the best way you can.
Well, let me tell you why I asked that question. Okay. And admittedly, it's easier in the wide receiver world. Tampa Bay goes out and they get Cole Beasley. It's a good possession receiver in the slot that can do some things. Baltimore, with a defense that right now is awful, goes out and signs Jason Pierre-Paul, who was available and kind of out on the street. As you try to piece this together, is there one of those types out there who's not doing anything offensive line wise that you think could help them?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see anybody of that caliber. I would, George, I would doubt that Bruce Matthews has any interest in coming out of retirement at this point for the Titans.
Oh, I love that answer. That was a good one. You think they win?
I don't know. And here's I kind of think that it might go Las Vegas's way, and here's why I say that. Both these teams are 0-2. Both these teams desperately need a win, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Right now, is it harder to win in the AFC West or harder to win in the AFC South?
There should be more urgency on the Raiders, although frankly, both teams ought to have a lot of urgency. I get where you're going. 0-3, as pathetic as the Titans division is, you could still come back. You can forget it in the AFC West.
Exactly. And, and I know there's all the things about, the changing the time zones and West coming East makes it harder. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but the Titans are going to have all hands on deck, and they're going to have to play error-free football if they want to win on Sunday.
Terry, we'll talk about it on Monday. Thank you, as always, for the update.
Have a good weekend, George.
That's how we start every show during football season, with Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. We now get to the update where Billy gets to read.
Yes, I do. Terry's Titans Update was sponsored by the Justin Tucker Team and Sumner Funeral and Cremation. The Justin Tucker Team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. The Justin Tucker Team Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty. Call them at 615-906-8458. And also Sumner Funeral and Cremation. They're sharing their family with yours in your time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified. George, we start the update with this Udoka situation and with the Boston Celtics. Apparently, he made unwanted comments toward a female employee. And of course, the improper relationship continues to come up, and that led him to be suspended, of course. But really, really messy situation in Boston.
Yeah, and it got reported a couple of days ago, and the reporting in this case was spot on, very accurate, which oftentimes happens when ESPN's NBA people get involved. They're pretty darn good. Adrian Wojciechowski is exceptional. I don't know where this is going. The Celtics were good enough to get to the NBA Finals, lost in 6 to Golden State. I don't see how this can help them.
No, me neither. And this is a situation where, this is not going to, stop. I think there's going to continue to be, more things found in this story. Maybe other people are involved. So you really hate it for a franchise like Boston.
What's number 2?
Number 2, the USC Oregon State line is sitting at -6 in favor of the Trojans right now, according to Caesar Sportsbook. The over/under 70.5. That game is in Corvallis on Saturday night. George, you think USC could trip up a little bit there? Oregon State's 3-0.
Hold on, I'm going to read exactly where this story went. I have my trusty little phone out here. For those of you who think I still have a flip phone, think again.
Think again.
An outlier opening line on USC Oregon State prompted a flood of bets on the underdog Beavers this week and left one sportsbook with more money at stake on the Pac-12 tilt than any of the week's NFL games. Holy cow.
Wow.
Caesars Sportsbook on Sunday opened USC is a 13.5-point favorite at Oregon State. Minutes later, odds makers at Circus Sports put up the Trojans as only a 5-point favorite, and the bettors out there pounced on the discrepancy, and the thing went nuts with a lot of people trying to middle. And what I mean by middle is to take, let me see if I've got this right, take Southern Cal at one place -5, and then take Oregon State at the other book plus 13.5 and hope to hit somewhere in between.
That ain't right. You can't. Is that what they call illegal in the sports book world, George?
There's nothing illegal about that.
Well, if they're different lines, I mean, I guess not. Maybe I'm not a betting man.
It's up to the hotels to do it.
So that's
not illegal.
That's switched from 13 to 6.
No, hold on. Billy, hear me out on this. One book, Caesars Sportsbook, opened up at 13.5, USC 13.5. The other one opened at 5. Huge discrepancy. So a bettor out in Vegas could, in theory, go to one place, put down USC -5, then go to the other place and put up Oregon State plus 13.5, hoping to hit the middle where both bets win. You can't lose both.
Right.
Now, that's not illegal. That's just a smart bettor out there doing whatever the hell it is they do out there.
They're just playing the system.
Darn right they are.
Next story, George. Dak Prescott will be QB1 for the Cowboys. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. I know Cooper Rush has played well, but he is going to be the starter when he returns in Dallas, whenever that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks to Captain Obvious, Mike McCarthy, for that piece of news. But Cooper Rush is operating the Cowboys. This is now the second time this has happened. If he plays well again, he rises toward the top of the class of backup quarterbacks around the league and may well be able to force Dallas's hand at the end of the season to say, I want to go somewhere and be a starter. And some team that's shrewd and scouting and whatever may look at that and say, Cooper Rush, bring him on.
I don't know that he has a chance in Dallas to be the starter, but there's got to be some other teams out there that desperately need a quarterback and might say, hey, Cooper Rush looks all right now. He's playing pretty well there in Dallas.
Bingo.
Another move here, George. Last piece here. Buffalo is going to be out 4 starters on defense against Miami on Sunday. And I'm not sure if the majority of those came against the Titans. If so, in a blowout, you hate to see that for Buffalo, but they're going to be down a lot.
And they've got the Dolphins, who right now are red hot. They don't need all these injuries. Ed Oliver, big kid from the University of Houston, and their defensive line is one of the 4. They will sorely miss him.
Yeah, that offense is looking scary. They've got a lot of weapons.
Okay, let me kind of tell people what we're going to do. Eddie George is going to join us after the break. Most of what we're going to talk about is Eddie's coaching philosophies, not necessarily as much about TSU as it is coaching philosophies. And I think you will find this to be a very interesting interview. Zach Womble from Main Street Sports Preps.
Did
I say that
Main
right?
Street Preps.
Yes, thank you. I may have added one word too many. He'll join us at 4:40, and then the interview at 5 o'clock that you are going to absolutely want to hear. It is a bombshell interview. Seth Wickersham from ESPN has written the book about the dysfunction toward the end in New England between Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the owner, Robert Kraft. Busy Friday. We'll start it in a couple of moments. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
We're back. When I think of Eddie George, I think of so many different levels of success. Heisman Trophy winner at Ohio State. Enough said. Great pro career with the Titans. Enough said. Goes into acting. Kills it. Basically, this is a guy that everything he has touched, he's turned to gold. Well, all of a sudden, fast forward to Tennessee State, and his football team is 0-3, and they got thrashed last weekend up at MTSU to the tune of 49-6. And so with that in mind, we sat down to talk with Eddie about coaching philosophies and how you get a team out of a funk. Eddie, you had some really interesting situations come up with the Titans where in the Jeff Fisher era, at the time it seemed like things might be falling apart. You all would rise above all of that. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of curious, how much of that are you able to take from your pro experience and now use it as a college coach, and in particular coming off what happened Saturday?
Mm-hmm. No, it's from my entire experience, not just with the Titans, but also my college career, high school, and it's a part of the process. It's I told him, I said, listen, we are in line to do some great things this year. And one game does not define you. No matter if you lost by 1, you lost by 50, you still are able to learn and grow from that. And we're not going to attach ourselves to the outcome. We're going to attach ourselves to the process and attach ourselves to, hey, did we do our job? Did we execute? Did we know the situation? Did we know the game plan inside and out? And when you turn the film on, it's never as bad as you think. And yeah, we were outplayed. We played up a level, and that team was a really good football team. And quite frankly, the last few weeks have been challenging. But the one thing that sticks out to me about my team is that we fight. We never quit. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And those things are lessons that will be learned. And I'd never looked at a loss as devastating or it's the end of the world. We still have 8 games left and a season full of football left. So you learn from it, you grow from it, you deal with the sting of it. You were embarrassed. Yeah, I got embarrassed before. I got embarrassed as a player, now as a coach. And you attack it the same way. And you're never defined by it. You know, like, example, the Titans last night, they're 0-2. They lost by 41-7. I'm pretty sure that they're saying the same exact thing in the locker room today. It's not going to be defined by it's how you respond to it. So that's what I'm excited about.
Eddie, I know more about your pro experience, obviously, than I do the days at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I'll eventually get to your team, but I am curious, what was it that Jeff Fisher used that seemed to work so well with you all at times like 1-4?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was more or less finding out what was stopping us from being successful. Like when we started off 1-4, we just couldn't figure it out where we were, and we sat back and did a hard look at ourselves in the mirror to see what the problem was. And we were waiting on somebody else to make a play. and we weren't fighting for each other. We weren't finishing our job. And on that level, it goes a long way. And Jeff had a great ability to point those things out and to not press the panic button, but look at it for what it is and look at the obstacle and say, this is the way for us to be successful. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. You have to meet that obstacle head on. Like, for example, if you're not running the ball well, why aren't you running the ball well? Well, let's look at it. It's probably a breakdown of one person. So if that one person we can trust that one person to do his job, then it kind of solves the issue to some degree. So it's looking at the glass half full in terms of half empty. And it's all in your perspective. It's all about your attitude and how you respond to it thereafter. So it was not like it's a magical type of situation where he has a magic wand and everything goes to perfect. It's the ability to have people shift their perspective and look at it differently and for what it really is, as a blessing versus as a devastating loss and it's doomsday. And you have a chance to turn it around and learn and grow from it.
Okay, let's go with the blessing part. Yeah, it's 0-3, but it's an 0-3 in a lot of cases because of rise of class of the opponent you're playing. So how much of that can you take and use in these final 8-9 games?
Every bit of it, George. You could take everything that we've been through the last couple of weeks, battles on the road, how we approached the road, how we rised up against Jackson State, who put up 66 points last week, and our defense did an outstanding job time and time again in the red zone. And here's the great thing about it. In the country, I think we're in the top 50 in red zone defense. We're not turning the ball over. We're creating turnovers. There are a lot of positives you can take out of it, in terms of competition. We are, again, not fighting. Again, we were outmatched last week, and the wheels fell off, but guys didn't quit, so the sideline was very positive. And I told my guys, we are close to breaking through to being the type of team that we want to be. And you have to learn how to lose in order to win. And that's the bottom line. If you don't understand how to take losses, there's no way you can grow into becoming a champion. And you remember those days, remember those moments. We've been fortunate enough to be in a few dog fights that can benefit us in October and November.
Eddie, does the open date come at the perfect time, or is there such a thing?
I think there is such a thing. I think the perfect time is now, that we have a chance to reset, recalibrate, refocus our attention, get healthier, focus on the fundamentals, reinforce some of the things that we've been coaching and preaching all year long for the last year. And I see guys maturing. It's called competitive maturity. And with that maturity, it's going to be growing pains. Now, you can't tell me, unless you're looking for lightning in a bottle, where you jump into a coaching situation or any situation and you get a championship off the rip and you win thereafter. This is a program that requires surgery, and it's going to be done from the inside out. And we're still building on the foundational pieces of that. And although we haven't seen the fruits of our labor in terms of wins and losses and on the scoreboard, I'm seeing it every day in terms of what we expect, how we're going about our business, and the standard that's being set and that's expected of every coach, every player, and everybody that touches football. And the fruits will come. The greater days will come. But we want to establish an identity and a culture that's sustainable and that can weather any storm. So that's kind of where we are right now, and that's time.
Eddie, you all have struggled on offense. That's no secret. How much of that in what you try to evaluate is simply rise in class, and what hasn't worked will work when you get to OVC play?
Well, we have to constantly adjust that. Again, this is a new offense coordinator, and we had some success earlier on in our first game. And we're finding out just where we are. You talk about rising class in terms of competition. Well, they exposed some things to us that, hey, okay, this is what we need to work on. Maybe it's passing the pressure. Maybe it's so you'll always, if we emphasize those things in practice, we'll get a better result. It's only going to make our guys better in the end.
I've never asked you this before. Your next game is on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any strong feeling as far as in the future you want most of it on campus, or do you want most of it at Nissan Stadium as a recruiting advantage? Where do you stand on that?
I stand where we can get the best benefit for both parties. I think right now people want more games. Our fan base wants more games on the campus because it provides more of a home field advantage, more so than Nissan. But I think there are some opportunities within the partnership with the Titans that we can take advantage of. So I think in the future you can look at, games here and at Nissan to some degree, however that looks. But certainly, we want to maximize our opportunity with the Titans and also try to enhance the stadium and the footprint and the facilities here at Tennessee State. And that's what's going to attract more fans and have them come out and to support us once they really see how serious we are in terms of developing a serious program.
Eddie, I have always loved the spirit and the fight in you. I have no doubt that October and November are going to bring a lot more fun for you and get the real Eddie George smile. I appreciate the visit as always.
George, either way, you're getting a smile out of me.
So I make no secret of the fact that I'm an Eddie George fan. Billy, I've told the story before. The year, I guess it was still the Tennessee Oilers. And Eddie and I did a post-game show together at the old Rio Bravo that no longer exists down on West End Avenue, just a little ways away from Vanderbilt Stadium. And the Oilers of that year found 2 or 3 ways to lose games that were hard to believe. Some real gut-wrenchers at home. And I'm telling you, there is not a human being in the world that hates to lose more than Eddie George. So if anybody out there doesn't believe that this is, hurting him, that, he's just brushing it off, think again.
Yeah, I mean, you played MTSU, you played Jackson State. I mean, let's face it, those are probably the 2 best teams on their schedule. So you said it best, George. I think down the stretch of this season, we're going to really start to see what this TSU program is made of under Eddie George, and he's a winner. I mean, that's what he does, and that's what he's done his whole career. So I wouldn't expect anything less.
No doubt about that part. The guy is a winner, period.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you define that as, pretty easy to define him.
In acting as well.
Yeah, that's the one that shocked me, and I've told him
you got to ask him about that.
Oh, listen, he and I have talked about it. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? I never pictured him.
I can see it now, but I know, before I saw him in a movie all of a sudden in a cameo, I was kind of surprised, but thinking back at him, okay, I can kind of see it now after seeing him in interviews and hearing him talk. He's impressive.
You want the bottom line on him? He refuses to not be good at anything it is that he sets his mind to. When they get into OVC play, they'll be considerably better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I talked to you about the influx of talent, George. They've got a lot of transfers that came in. They've got talent, and they got bigger, stronger, and faster, and he's got coaches around him, that I think will put them to that next level. It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting.
After the break, Zach Womble is going to join us. I know he's going to want to hear Rocky Top at the beginning. So let's give into that.
Well, we already got to play that once today.
Have we played it?
No, I'm saying we have to play it later in the show.
Yeah, but we're going to play it for Zach. And then he's going to tell us about another week of high school football. At 5 o'clock, you need to be watching this show.
ESPN senior writer Seth Wickersham has written a New York Times top 10 bestseller about Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Robert Kraft and the dysfunction that went on in New England in the closing couple of years. It's an interview you're going to want to hear. Stay tuned. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
So we went totally the redneck version.
You know, that's on par. That's on par for Billy. You know, he likes his black and gold. He likes his Commodore, so he wants to poke and pry anytime he gets it. You know, so that's fine. You know, let him take little jabs that he can get now, because he sure as heck ain't getting them on the football field when it matters most.
Wow.
Wow. Little spice there from Zach. I like it.
Hey,
What am I going to do? Play referee tonight?
No, oh George, you're the one that brought out the redneck word. I was just playing along.
Hey, listen, Zach's he's nervous. I can tell in his eyes right now. It's gonna be a tough 48 hours mentally for everybody in Knoxville, even through the game. But if they get this done, man, whew, Zach, you might have to head up there and enjoy that.
You know, it would be nice. I do expect them to win because, you know, I'll say this. There's been many years where Tennessee has been the better team on paper and found a way to lose. But this year's team, this year's bunch, this year's coaching staff, when they talk to you, it doesn't feel like a coaching staff, a unit, a program that finds a way to lose. You know, they found a way to win at Pittsburgh. And so I think they'll find a way to win on Saturday. Now, will they cover the 11 that they're getting? You know, that's a lot of points on one end. Now, you know, I just knowing the series history, the way that it's gone, it's hard for me as a Tennessee fan to, you know, one, expect to win, but let alone, you know, cover 11-point spread at that. So it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, but one that I fully expect Tennessee to come out on top of.
By the way, near the end of the show, I've got 5 plays out there, and I'll just say this. The Tennessee-Florida game, in some form or fashion, is one of them. So, Zach, you're watching the game at home, correct?
Yeah, I'm responsible. I've decided to be responsible this week. Tickets are – have you seen what tickets have gone for? I mean, I know you've had –
Tell me.
Too expensive for what I make, for one. But yes, they're pretty pricey. But why wouldn't they be? I mean, the hype that's surrounding this game, the atmosphere that you fully expect to happen. I mean, millions of fans across the country are going to see what the peak of college football looks like tomorrow at 2:30 in Knoxville, Tennessee. So why wouldn't tickets be just ridiculously priced? So going to watch it at home on TV.
Hold on. Let me ask it this way. Lower level 30-yard line. What do you got to pay?
I mean, I would venture at least $1,000 at least for a single, especially at this late right now. I would say $1,000. You better come with $1,000.
Yeah, you're right. I'll stay home.
Yeah, exactly. The Kool-Aid's a lot cheaper in the refrigerator.
It is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, the bathroom's a lot closer. So there are a lot of advantages to watch at home. I mean, look at technology right now. I mean, watching on the TV that I have, it's very good.
Right. Billy, have you been invited over?
I have not. I have not. I don't think Zach wants me there at his house. I don't know that there's many Tennessee fans that want people around them. I know a lot of fans that want to be alone when they watch this game.
Yeah. Billy's right. I mean, I kind of want to just be secluded. My wife will be with me, obviously, but she'll probably be off doing something else because she doesn't really like sports. But my plan is just kind of just be by myself and just kind of go down with the ship, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've got
Billy,
a buddy.
Why don't you invite him over for the Vandy Alabama game?
No. Georgia, I won't be watching that. I'll be watching maybe the first half.
Wow. You're not gonna watch all 60 minutes, Billy?
Not all 60 minutes. I'll watch probably the first half and lose interest. We'll see how quickly I lose interest.
I've been there, so I can't say much.
Okay, so let's get to the high school stuff after the trash talk. You're telling me this is, up till now, the best slate of games so far this season?
I don't know if it's the best slate, but it's pretty dang good. I mean, when you could start off your slate with Montgomery Bell Academy and Brentwood Academy, that right there alone is already a good week of football because you've got Ole Miss commitment, Marcel Reed, for NBA, and then you've got George McIntyre name Vanderbilt fans are all familiar with on the other side, the 2025 class. So that game alone is going to be worth the price of admission. But you look at games like Rockville and Nolensville. Rockville, I think, has been a surprise in Region 6-4A. They're 4-1 right now. Nolensville 5-0. Both teams 2-0 in league play. So it's a non-league game because Rockville is 6A, Nolensville is 5A. But a really good football game nonetheless. East Nashville Independence is really good. Clarksville Northeast. You just never know what's going to happen when two city schools come together. Green Hill and White County, I think, might be the best game of the night. We'll wait and see how that one shakes out. But, that's a really big region matchup. White County, of course, lost to Mount Juliet last week. Green Hill 2-0 in their region. So that one's going to have some big implications around it tonight. So I'm very anxious to see how that one plays out. But, yeah, all across the board, it's stacked 1 through 10. And so or there's more than 10 games, but, there's on Main Street Preps, we've highlighted our 10 best games. And, I think each one of them, pound for pound, is a heavy hitter.
Okay, tell me a little bit about this young man, Ethan Workman, who obviously had a big last Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethan Workman, Richland wide receiver. He was a fan-voted Week 5 Main Street Preps Football Player of the Week. He took 32% of the overall vote to beat out East Robertson's Zach Prince and Ross Hughes' Chance Seiler. So, big week for him. He caught 7 passes for 175 yards and two second-half touchdowns, one of 26 yards, another of 50 yards, as they stayed undefeated to defeat their rival Cascade 41-14. So just a big performance by Ethan Workman, and congratulations to Richland on staying unbeaten and with their rival victory over Cascade last week.
Okay, talk to me about Kenny Minchie.
Yeah, so unfortunate situation went down with Kenny Minchie. Maurice Patton originally covered when Pope Prep played at Independence and cited that Kenny had left with a slight shoulder injury. Well, I guess it turned out to be a little bit more severe than they initially thought, because he had to miss last week's game against Baylor, a game where Pope Prep essentially got run off the field. But, when you start a freshman quarterback in place of Kenny Minchie against, arguably one of the top teams in the state, it's going to be a long night for you. And that's exactly what it was. And so I reached out to his head coach, Brian Sneed, just asked him for an update. And he told me, quote, he's week to week. He likely won't play tonight against BGA. And then next week's game against NBA, which is obviously a really big showdown, he's still up for. So he could be back as early as next week against NBA, but don't look for him to play tonight against BGA on the road.
Yes, I'll refrain from any comment. Rough year for the old Wildcats. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's very rough.
Okay.
Go Braves.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to find something to root for.
You have to. That's right.
Tell me about this young man in Smyrna.
Yeah, Arian Carter. Over the weekend, or I guess it was, let's say over the past week, you saw him. He's committed to Memphis. He's the running back. He's 6'1", 210. He looks the part of a college football player. But over the weekend he was offered by Alabama, and then all of a sudden Tennessee offered, Kentucky offered, and Auburn, USC, and now this Memphis commit running back has some of the top programs in the country at his disposal now in his lap, wanting his services. So it's really interesting to see what kind of happens with this. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen. He's probably going to let the entire season play out, but he's rushed for 459 yards and 12 touchdowns this year. So had under 1,000 yards last year, 16 touchdowns. So really kind of pretty good numbers, I would say, especially so far with 12 tutties. But his recruitment, Arian Carter, it's really kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. And I can't wait to see what happens, because, like I said, once he got that Alabama offer, everybody started offering.
What did you just call a touchdown?
A tutty?
Tutty, George. Yeah.
Tutty.
That's what the kids are saying nowadays.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm trying to be hip. I'm trying to be hip, George. I'm trying to be cool. So,
we're trying to you a little bit of something here, George, too.
Try to mix it.
High school athletes,
Right.
That's right. You got to mix in some slang every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I got you. Whew. Okay. Let's see. Where else do we need to go before we end this? You want to make a Tennessee, Florida prediction?
Oh man, I do not want to make a Tennessee, Florida prediction. I'll just say,
why is that?
George, listen, ever since the University of Florida invented Gatorade, they must have signed a deal with the devil, because they have owned the University of Tennessee, including 16 out of the last 17. So would it be wise of me to say that to sit here and be like, oh, Tennessee's going to win, when history shows you that Tennessee doesn't win these types of games. So, but all that said, Tennessee 45, Florida 21.
Yeah. Not going there. No, look, do I think, well, I'm not going to give it away. I will have a pick on this game in some form or fashion later in the show.
Tennessee is so much better. If they lose this,
schematically, they are much better. I think on the sidelines,
Charlie Weiss.
On the sidelines, I think they hold the advantage. You know, I saw someone earlier today call Billy Napier Sunbelt Billy, and that he's in over his head going against the likes of Josh Heupel, because, you know, it seems like Heupel may be one of the top coaches in the country. I mean, could you argue that he's the reason UCF has a fake national championship? I mean, I don't know if you'd say it's Scott Frost's national championship after his Nebraska run, but you know, we'll see what happens.
See you in about an hour.
All right, George. Thanks.
The confident Zach Womble. Look at him. Sporting his power tee. Show it to us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Got the Pope. Was it free? No, it was not. It was too much money is what it was. I'm writing it off on your tab, though.
Yeah. See you in an hour.
Yeah, George.
Okay. After the break, let's see what we've got. We'll have stat of the day where I go solo, which can really be embarrassing. And then you might end up hearing at some point one of the best fight songs in America. Stick around. It's
also, George, by the way, we got a comment, lower level cheapest that Logan Winters saw on YouTube is $400. So I don't know if I believe that, but he did say that on YouTube. So I'll have to check that.
400.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
It's a bargain. Anyway, we'll get you a good fight song when we come back. So stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Hey, this is George Plaster, and I'm excited to announce that the second annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night is going to happen Monday, November the 28th at the Hermitage Strike and Spare. The three charities that will benefit are Last Minute Toy Store, Martha O'Brien Center, and Stars. And our intention is to get them that money so it can do the most amount of good at Christmas time. Now, here's where I need your help. I need you to sign up to play in the most fun charity event you've ever been involved in. Imagine 64 foursomes with 64 sports personalities in the area. As a single player, it's $200. If you get a foursome, it's $800. And what I want you to do is reach out to me via email, plastergeorge@gmail.com, and we'll get you signed up and get you ready and raring to go. Again, that's plastergeorge@gmail.com for a night you will never forget.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace. and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
That's classic.
Well, here's the deal. So supposedly there was a count last Saturday that Tennessee's band played Rocky Top like 40 times in that game. I'm telling you, if you count up tomorrow night in the USC Oregon State game, their band will be with them on the road. They play that song every 2 to 3 plays. And if they don't play that one, they've got the other one that dun 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 dun.
I like that one. I really like that.
They play those two songs 100 times a night. If you watch Southern Cal, you cannot get that out of your head.
The band is on the field. Was that USC or Cal? Which band? Was that the USC band?
No, that was Cal.
That was Cal. Okay.
That was Cal. By the way, we're about 3 minutes away from a dynamite interview with ESPN senior writer Seth Wickersham. The book is about the dysfunction of the Patriots with Brady, Kraft, the owner, Bill Belichick, the head coach. You're going to want to hear this. Now, you have work to do.
Yes, I do. It's time for Stat of the Day, powered by John English Vintage Sports and Cards. They specialize in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit them in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit JohnEnglishGradedCards.com. Also, call Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors, 615-490-7052, or visit rockcastlewealth.com for more information. Stat of the day.
And by the way, call John and tell him what is it he says at the end of the commercial?
Nashville's greatest sports antique.
Yeah. Bad.
Oh, that's a pretty good one. I give it to John. All right, George. Trevor Lawrence is 0-9 on the road in the NFL in his first season in 2 games. Who is the only other quarterback to ever lose his first 9 road starts? And a hint, he, too, is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well,
okay.
Not 2, but
now,
he is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Look, trying to get this one right. I mean, who's kidding who? This is a needle in a haystack, correct?
Mm-hmm. Good luck, George.
Oh, I've got one in mind. It's got to be a player who started out with a team and the team wasn't very good and they lost a lot of games, but then he picked up steam. His team picked up steam. And I think, I'm not saying I've got it, but I think I have a really respectable answer.
Who you got?
Phil Simms. Yeah, whatever.
No, sir.
What do we got?
You got another guess or no?
No.
You're just throwing in the towel like that?
I am. That's a very tough question.
That is tough. That's brutal. Peyton Manning.
Oh, my. Really?
Yep. Peyton Manning lost his first 9 road starts in the NFL. He really struggled to start his NFL career.
In his rookie season, he threw a ton of picks. There was a Sunday night game in New England before everybody knew that the Patriots were going to be what they ended up being. Wow.
I forgot about that. Very interesting.
See, I don't think my Phil Simms guess was all that bad. The Giants were really bad when he got there. Bill Parcells had gone 3-12-1. The rumors were that the Giants were going to fire him. He went on to a Hall of Fame career. Simms, a Hall of Fame level quarterback. I wasn't right, but I don't think it was a bad guess.
No, and I also think Archie Manning would have been a good guess too there with how much he struggled in New Orleans.
That's a very good one.
So,
yeah
there's some options there.
Honestly, I like yours even better.
Phil Simms, Archie Manning. We'll have to see where they are, if there's a stat, those first rookie year, what their records were. But by no means, George, we got 5 o'clock hours here.
Yes,
Middle
it
Tennessee
is.
Bone and Joint Clinic is the sponsor. We've got Seth Wickersham coming up, of course. MTBJ combines the state-of-the-art orthopedic service with a family atmosphere. Whether it's a sports injury, a sprained ankle, or a major joint replacement, they have the staff, training, and equipment needed to take care of any patient in any circumstance. Visit them online at mtbj.net for more information.
So think about the Patriots the year that the Titans beat them in the playoffs up in Foxborough. All of the rumors that were swirling that Brady wanted out. And then at the end of the season, Brady goes over to Kraft's house and says, I'm out of here, but really doesn't get around to any, great amount of talk with Belichick. And the whole thing was very weird. It was uncomfortable. It was surprising. Anyway, a great sports author, Seth Wickersham, has written what has turned out to be a New York Times top 10 best-selling book about this. And earlier this week, I caught up with Seth. Seth, as I've told our listeners, the book you have written has gotten amazing stuff in the first year. Talk to me about when you kind of made the decision, hey, I'm going to go for this.
Oh, man, thank you for having me on. Well, the publisher, W.W. Norton, was the one who had the idea for a Patriots book. And fortunately, they were able to, willing to take a shot on me. I've never written a book before. This was my first one. I guess that, what gives you the confidence or maybe false sense of confidence at times that you could actually pull off a book. I was hired at ESPN magazine when I graduated from the University of Missouri in 2000. And one of my very first stories that they sent me to go do was a story about this plucky 6th-round draft pick out of Michigan who was filling in well for Drew Bledsoe and would probably go back to the bench when Bledsoe returned, named Tom Brady. And we were the same age. I went up to Foxborough and I visited with him. And I remember he looked at the stadium. Remember at the time they played in that old Foxborough Stadium. It was like a high school field.
Yeah.
And the new stadium was being built, and he looked at it and he goes, "Man, that's gorgeous. I hope I get to play in it one day." Can you imagine that?
Oh my goodness.
Tom Brady said that. But at the time he was, he was wearing some sweats and had a backpack that was full of beer because he had lost a bet in the Michigan State game, and we kind of felt like the same species, right? I mean, we're both kind of young men who are the same age getting going in their careers. And then he won the Super Bowl a couple months later, and that changed really fast.
Yeah, no kidding. You watch him right now. He looks incredibly angry.
Yeah.
Is this a new thing based on Giselle leaving, or has this been building for 3 or 4 years? And was this maybe part of the reason that the Patriots didn't cry over him leaving?
No, I don't think that it's related to his departure from New England. I think that was years in the making for different reasons. And in fact, I think he left to go to Tampa to have experience football in a more fun way, right? After so many years in New England where it was kind of cold and calculated, very successful, but, it wasn't a joyous place. It's like he went from Harvard to Florida State. Look, 2022 has just been a weird year for Tom Brady. It's been very atypical. Usually he's very predictable, right? I mean, he's going to be at ready to go with football. There's a there's a sense that he's just built up over all of these years, 23 years in the NFL and 22 really since we've known of him, of just reliability. And it's not that he's less reliable now, but he's just had all this drama. Like, he's never been a dramatic type of guy. Obviously, he was disenchanted with the way things ended last season and felt like the Tampa Bay Bucks under Bruce Arians were just not as buttoned up as they needed to be. And clearly in the playoff game against the Rams, losing the way that they did with Cooper Kupp isolated on a safety with a minute left to really lose that game, proved him true. You know, he goes and retires, and then, saying he needs to spend more time with his family. And then a week after, he talks about unretiring. And then a month after that, he unretires. Can you imagine being his family saying that he retired to spend more time with you? And a month later, he releases a statement saying he's unretiring, saying that after a month away, he's learned that his place is on the field. And, Bruce Arians kind of goes to this weird role late in the spring, up to the executive suite. And then, Brady signs this deal with Fox for after he's done playing, and then he leaves training camp for 11 days. And then there's these reports in People and CNN and the New York Post that there's marital problems. Look, it's impossible to know what's going on inside someone's marriage, but Tom and Giselle have been public about it. And it's something I wrote about at length in the book. The point of my book was to try to take readers and fans as close as possible to the forces and the factors that led to the greatness of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and also show the costs of it. I wasn't going to give you the hokey version of it. I was going to show what the real costs of it were. And some of the costs of Tom Brady's greatness are strains that it's created with his family and with his marriage. And I think that what you're seeing right now is a continuation of that. And he just is someone who doesn't look that happy 2 weeks into the season.
Seth, given how secretive Bill Belichick can be, how hard was the research that you had to do as compared to what it might be with somebody who might be a lot more open?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, going back to what I said about when I first started working at ESPN and, kind of started following that team and traveling there in 2001, I had just been around for a lot. Like, I visited with Tom Brady quite a bit at his private Super Bowl parties, at his house, his apartment. So, I was working on a lot of, and then, I met with Belichick periodically. We'd had a couple of conversations, especially like 2009, 2010, 2011, around that time, where, I was really tackling subjects that he was eager to talk about. And he would call me sometimes late at night to talk about them, whatever it might be. And then later on, I did some pretty hard-hitting investigative stories with my co-author, Don Van Natta, and, as a solo author. And so I felt like that I had accumulated a lot of stuff on the Patriots, both that I had seen, that I had reported, people that I knew. And so I think that it would have been harder if I were going in cold. But in this, between what I had witnessed, what I had reported, the stuff that I had in my notebooks that had never been out there because whatever it was, they didn't fit into a story that I was working on at the time. But all of a sudden they worked for a project like this. And then just being around the league for so long, I felt like that I just was working on a strong base of material, and then I knew who to call to learn more. And, that's what I tried to do. I think it would have been a lot harder if I had just they had come to me and they'd be like, all right, go do this Patriots book. And I knew nobody and I knew no idea how to do it.
The sports world, the people that care about sports in this country have been mesmerized by Brady, Belichick. And is it that they hate each other? Is it that they respect each other but don't like each other? What's the accurate picture of those two?
I think that they're like a divorced couple that want to be civil for the sake of everybody, but they have no intention of getting remarried. And while I think that there's not always a lot of like there, I think that there is a true bond in love. I think that that's an accurate word. I think that when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are inducted into the Hall of Fame, when they're done, that'll be in 20 years probably.
Nice.
They'll use that word love to describe their relationship for one another. And I think that that'll be an accurate word. I think that, look, they've had some hard times, but their sheer longevity and what they were able to accomplish, I think, creates a bond there that, I think it just creates a bond that's kind of unbreakable, even if they're not going to be rushing to spend a ton of time with each other. And then, look, I think that it was hard for Brady the last couple of years in New England. He's spoken about that publicly, that football wasn't as fun as it should have been. And there was disputes over contracts. There was Belichick banning his Brady's business partner and friend, Alex Guerrero. There was Deflategate and all of the drama that, the strain on relationships that caused. There was Jimmy Garoppolo and the fact that Belichick was invested in him and really didn't want to trade him. And so, look, there was just a lot of things. It culminated with the Patriots opening the door for Brady to walk out, and he decided to walk out. In August of 19, they're negotiating a contract. Brady's so frustrated with how it's going, he considers leaving training camp. They announced a contract before the season that's essentially a one-year deal with a raise. And 48 hours after that was announced, Brady put his house on the market. Brady and Giselle put their house on the market in Boston. And so he knew that 2019 was going to be his last season. And I think that there's some raw feelings over that. I mean, he had accomplished a lot at that franchise. And what he wanted was a show of faith that he could play at a high level with a contract that reflected, that show of faith, to the age that he is right now, 45 years old, and he is playing at a high level. Patriots really weren't willing to do that, and things had just gotten tense, and just seemed like that for Tom, he just wanted a fresh start somewhere else. And he found it in Tampa, won a Super Bowl, came back to Foxborough, won a game there. And, so I think that, he's definitely accomplished a lot without Bill Belichick, given him, that independence without him. And I think that probably, I don't know this for certain, but I'm guessing it probably helps a little bit ease some of the friction in their relationship that had been building up really since 2017.
So was Kraft essentially a marriage counselor trying to put the two of them back together? Where is Kraft in all this?
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job for the most part of, trying to keep the band together as long as they could. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, we've seen dynasties unravel because of ego, because people get sick of each other. And, then they look back and they say, if we could have just held it together, we probably could have won more. And Kraft was just really expert at keeping these guys balanced. And I think that, that probably created a little bit of an issue made, by calling Brady a son and promising that he can walk away from the team on his own terms and, personally negotiating some contracts with him over the years. And, being the guy who would hear him out when Brady was complaining about Belichick, that dynamic probably strained things a little bit between Brady and Belichick, because it made Belichick out to be the bad guy, even at times when maybe that wasn't quite the case. But that said, I mean, the sheer longevity of them and the fact they were able to keep this thing together for so long, I think is a credit to all of them. And I think that Robert Kraft certainly deserves a lot of credit for that.
When people ask you about Deflategate, what do you honestly think went on there?
I think the ball boys were deflating the footballs. I don't think that Tom Brady said, hey, I wanted it 10.2 PSI or whatever it might be. But I think that they saw it as their job to please Brady. Remember, in that season, that's the 2014 season, they're playing the Jets, and it's a wet day, and they had overinflated the footballs by mistake, and Brady is just pissed, and he's yelling at these ball boys on the sideline. The day after that game, he pulls out, the rule book for how they should be inflated, and he's been public that he likes a slightly deflated ball. And so I think that the ball boys were trying to please him. Did Tom Brady know? I'm sure he knew somewhere that the ball, was probably a little softer or at least on the edge of it. But I don't think he was ordering the ball boys to deflate this thing below the rules. But in the same sense, they were doing it, I think, because they needed to please him, because his stature had grown so great. Obviously, he's the quarterback. He wants the footballs as he wants them, and they'll do whatever it takes. And remember, those ball boys, we've never heard from them. They left the team and they went to witness protection, and nobody's ever heard from those guys.
Hey, here comes a stupid question, but it won't be my first one. Are the three biggies here, Kraft, Belichick, Brady, are they angry that you've done this?
Oh, I don't think so. You mean written in the book? I don't think so. No, I mean, I've never gotten that sense. I'm sure they're not pleased with every piece of reporting in there, but first of all, the book is a complimentary book. It's a real book, as best I could show, again, about how their greatness came to be and what the real costs of it were. But, it's a study in how to, try to be great and control something that's inherently kind of random, right? And I think that's one thing. And I think the second thing is that these guys have been through so much. I mean, all of the controversies over the years, Spygate, Deflategate, Aaron Hernandez, things big and small that come up, that I think that they're callous to a certain extent. I mean, they've had a lot of things done on them, projects, books, documentaries, podcasts, feature stories, investigations, all kinds of things. And, I don't think my book is going to impact their day that much, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to overstate my own importance. I did the very best I could and I took it very seriously, but I think that they're at a professional and cultural thin air where so much has been written and said and done about them, that I think that my project, while I did the very best I could, is yet another one probably for them.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So what did you think as you heard this? What stuck out to you?
Well, it was interesting to hear from him talk about how close he was with Brady and and with Belichick. You good, George?
No,
you're looking around very curiously.
It just dawned on me that some lights up there are not on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, making sure everything's okay.
I look better when you can't see me.
Oh, George.
Go ahead.
But no, I thought it was interesting to hear how close he was with the franchise and Belichick and Kraft and Brady. And yeah, I mean, you look at what happened in New England, a lot of people make it out to be some sort of awful, dramatic breakup between Belichick and Brady. And, it probably wasn't the most pleasant, but I mean, they spent all that time together. It felt like Wickersham did a nice job of kind of, laying out the reasons behind it and Kraft's role in it. And you're still shaking your head, George. I don't know what's going on with these lights.
I'm looking up there. Stuff happens. So, okay, I'm going to throw this one out here. I think most people believe that Brady will be out of Tampa at the end of the year, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, the old rumor was Miami, and there's reason to believe that Stephen Ross talked to him at some point. Well, with Tua doing as well as he's doing, not that there's any guarantee that this continues, but let's just, for my little theory's sake, say that. Can you imagine the hoopla if he went back to New England?
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
I can't, because it feels so far and away from our belief that could even happen.
Bizarre. But think about that.
But that would
not be the sports story of the year?
That would be the sports story of the history of sports. I mean, Tom Brady returning to New England for one more year, kind of an Albert Pujols type of story in St. Louis. I mean, that would be unreal.
And while we're in fantasy land, let's have Aaron Judge then sign a free agent contract with the Boston Red Sox.
You really want that to happen, don't you?
I would love it. Absolutely love it.
The Yankees have got to find a way to keep him.
Okay, around 5:30, we're going to open up phones. If you have some things that you want to talk about with the football card this weekend, Billy, if you can pull it up really quick, let's get the phone number out there. There it is. Of course, area code 615-588-2998. What I would really like is for 3 or 4 red-blooded Americans to look at the card and give me what you think is the best bet on the card. I have not exactly been killing it in the last 2 weeks. I want to hear what you think. When we come back, Jeff Pennington will give us his 2 cents worth. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Welcome back in on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Before we meet up with the world traveler, Jeff Pennington, you'll know what I mean here in just a second. Let's get a word about his company. And now let's check out the World Traveler out in San Diego at Torrey Pines. How'd you pull this off?
Well, I'm lucky. It's my brother's bachelor party. My younger brother's getting married. And yes, for different places, we listed cities. He's like, man, he's not even really a big golfer. He golfs a few times a year. He's like, let's go to Torrey Pines. Like, as a golfer, I'm like, love it. And it's a muni course. You know, it's one of the few municipal courses that are actually. Sorry about that. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
So Torrey Pines has actually hosted a U.S. Open, hasn't it?
Multiple, yeah. I think a couple times, 2 or 3 times. And it's the home of the Farmers Insurance Open every year in February. So,
man,
our boy Brant Snedeker's won here a couple times, I think.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's get down to business. Let's start with your little upset special that I admit I might agree with. It comes down to old Clemson at Wake Forest.
Sorry, I lost you there. Can you see me?
No.
There we go.
Now we can.
All right. Yeah. So I really like the over in Wake Forest Clemson. But I think Wake Forest their offense has really impressed me. I mean, they haven't played super tough teams like a Clemson defense yet, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think there's a chance that they upset them. I like the +7 or +7.5, but that's my money line kind of underdog pick this week.
No,
I'm 2-0. I just want to brag. I'm 2-0 on those so far. 5-1 overall. So I was like, I'm just taking a shot at it.
I'll be listening closely. By the way, here's my theory about it. If this kid, and I call him ukulele, but I think it's ungalele or by a vowel, the Clemson quarterback, if he doesn't play a lot better than he's been playing, Clemson's in for a dogfight.
Yeah. And Wake Forest, it's at Wake Forest. They're pumped up. They're 3-0. They look good. So and that their defense doesn't impress me, but I think their offense is good enough that maybe they can keep them. So
okay, let's get to the hype bowl of the century. Neyland Stadium tomorrow at 2:30. Jeff, I have never seen in the last 25 years a level of confidence among Tennessee fans that not only are they going to beat Florida, but they're going to kick Florida's butt. And that concerns me a little bit.
That concerns me too. This game is, I don't like talking about it. I've already found a great place here to watch it. It'll be on at 12:30 out here on Pacific time. I feel better about it this year, but come on, we're 1-16 in the last 17 years. All that data goes against us winning this. I think we're 1-4 on game days at Neyland Stadium against them the last 5 times. And the weird part is, though, the one that does give me confidence is I always think Vegas has an edge, right? They're always trying to trick people. And I think it opened at 11. It's down to 10.5. They're trying to get people to take Florida, which I'm hoping that means they know something we don't. But I'll never underestimate it. I have a personal bet with a good friend of mine that's been going for a long time that whoever wins straight up each year, the other one gets to pick an outfit out at any time without telling them, other than a wedding and a funeral, and it has to be gender specific and fits. And that's the only rules. So I've been losing that for a while, and I've got a Vegas trip planned with him in November, so I'm hoping I get to pull off some overalls in Vegas one night at a nice dinner.
More from the World Traveler. Okay, let's do one more. It's neutral site, as in Jerry World in Arlington. Arkansas and Texas A&M, with A&M favored by 2. Jeff, I think the wrong team's favored.
I think that's going to be a good game. I'm really excited to watch that game. I think it's going to be some hard hitting, some tough. I think they're going to run the ball just a bunch. I think I like Texas A&M though. I do, just because I think they got a little bit of an advantage. They got the better team on paper. They kind of turned it around last week. They need this win. I think A&M, if they lose more than 2 games, they're going to be kind of the laughingstock after all that NIL money.
They're going to want to excommunicate Jimbo.
Yeah, so I think, but the pressure. I think all the pressure is on A&M, which comes sometimes. Like we talked about Arkansas last week. You never really want to play them. Like, even when they're not that good, you don't want to play them. You come out a little injured, a little beat up.
Okay, so tell me this. First of all, I hear Petco Park in San Diego is beautiful. Have you been by there?
So we tried to go to the game yesterday, and we got in. Our flights were just a little bit delayed, so it already started. So I was really disappointed about that. Walked by it last night. It's beautiful. I mean, just gorgeous. So
right in the heart of downtown, isn't it?
Right there. We ate dinner, and when we walked out the dinner, we walked through the street and just looked right into it, and they were power washing the seats. It was lit up. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm really disappointed. I was excited to actually go to it yesterday, and we just missed that game.
Okay, so tell me about the sports bar that you walked in and said, "Howdy, I'm from Nashville."
Well, last night we did go to a little bar called Waterfront Bar and Grill. Cool little bar down in the Little Italy area to watch the Thursday night game. And they definitely, you don't realize how Southern redneck you are until people start looking at you funny, right? Like, they're like, I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Like, I really sound like that?
No, they need to be a little more understanding. So they know there are a bunch of hillbilly rednecks that are coming in tomorrow at 12:30 your time.
Oh yeah, well, we're going to this place called Water Bar. It's supposed to be this like cool sports bar on the water. So we've already got our spot picked out. I'm feeling good. I feel good, but I don't know about all this confidence. Everybody's talking about stomping Florida. That's why I won't even bet on it. Because honestly, if you forced me to bet, I'd probably take Florida with the points. But I would never bet against my team. So let's just win the game. I just care about winning the game so I can win my clothing bet.
I love it. Listen, hit them straight. It looks like a beautiful course. Do the state of Tennessee proud tomorrow at the sports bar, and we'll talk again next Friday.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
That's Jeff Pennington. He is now the world traveler, as he should be. Here's what we're going to do after the break. We're going to take some of your phone calls, and we're going to get into some of your text messages as we get into what ought to be a tremendous weekend of college and pro football. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Durette Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretteRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretteRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff right there. That'll get your blood hopping at 2:30 on a Saturday in the Southeastern Conference. We welcome all of you back. Plaster bets of the day are just around the corner. But first, Jeff in Murfreesboro, welcome.
How's it going, George?
Good. Hope you're doing well.
Good. I am. Watson, how you doing?
Watson's off today. It's
Okay, that's fine. I was just gonna say, George, another high school night and another college Saturday. Listen, George, if a bad call goes against Tennessee Saturday, where they throw the mustard bottles like you did last year and Ole Miss, or what do you think?
I don't know. You would hope not. I mean, that has gotten totally out of hand, and not just at Tennessee. The whole fan belief that you have the right to do this kind of thing. This has got to stop.
Well, George, let me give you a chorus of a little ditty I wrote. You know that song "Cheap Seats"?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, we like our adult beverage flat as can be. We like our dogs with mustard and range balls. We got a new head coach. What's his name? We can't spell or pronounce it. We don't worry about the SEC East much. We just like to fire coaches who win natties. There's nothing like the view from Trashy Leland. Do 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 do. Trashy Leland. Do 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 do. So ball fans, y'all have fun. See if y'all beat Florida. But if y'all don't do it now, y'all won't ever do it. Kentucky 3, Florida 2. The last 5. Y'all hang in there. Have a good weekend.
He's fired up.
He sure is fired up.
Woo. Holy cow. Tony in Nolensville, welcome. Let's see if he's there.
Should be there now, George.
Okay, Tony, are you there?
Not getting Tony.
Not getting Tony.
Not getting any of Tony.
Okay. You want to put my bets up there?
Why not?
Yes. These are outstanding. Oh, we have to review, though, don't we? We have to review last night.
We do have to review, George. It is
a problem.
We got some good betting review to do, George. As I try to pull it up, I thought I had it.
Let me say this. It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to be proud of. I did something last night that I'm told is the cardinal sin in betting. And that is I changed my mind. When you start losing, and certainly in the last 2 weeks, I have gone in the dumper. I changed a belief on a game very late, and it bit me in the butt. So as soon as you can pull that up, okay, go ahead and pull it up.
We've got Tony back if you want to try him
Tony's back.
again.
Tony, what's going on?
Or not. Man, thought we had him, George. Thought we had him.
Oh.
I'll take the blame for that.
Okay.
Okay. Bet of the day results.
Yes.
31-40.
Yeah.
Sitting right now. Last night, you got the Cleveland Browns, but you lost the Virginia Tech and Georgia State bets. You lost both of those.
Okay. Georgia State's the one that hacked me off because I was going Coastal Carolina the whole way, and then I talked myself out of a win, and that's a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, you had it. You had it, but you're thinking too much. You're getting
well
into
when you
start to lose, that's what happens.
When you take a dive, these things happen.
You're not wrong. So, George, your bets of the day.
There are 5 of them. Five times.
Locks of the weekend for George. His first one, Minnesota at Michigan State.
Okay, I have made clear the wrong team is favored. It just is. Michigan State's a darn good football team. They've had a bad week in Washington, and I think Vegas has overreacted to that. And Michigan State +3 at home is going to get it done. And, they do all that row the boat in Minnesota. They're going to row that thing to Lake Michigan. Michigan State's going to win that game. 2:30 game, by the way. Okay, here's one that surprised me a little bit. The fact that Cal is the favorite should not be a surprise. But only 3? I'm taking Cal.
Yeah, that is a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, Cal went toe-to-toe with Notre Dame. Not that Notre Dame's the 27 Yankees right now. They can't score to save them. They've got a quarterback problem. But Cal almost won in South Bend, and I believe they will win at home against Arizona, and they will win by more than 3.
We move on to your 2-team teaser for the weekend.
Okay, I want to explain what's going on here. In a 2-team teaser, you're allowed to take the point spread and either subtract or add 6 points to 2 different games. So, in theory, I am teasing Auburn from -7 down to -1. I will tell you, I believe this. If Auburn loses tomorrow, Brian Harsin will be fired by Monday. I believe that. I think we're in one of these things in college football right now where firing people in midseason now seems to be the norm. Nobody bats an eye to it.
All right.
And then the second part of it. Hold on.
Oh, you're not done yet?
No, the second part of it is Tennessee. And I want to tell you where I'm going with it. Do I think Tennessee is the better team over Florida? Yeah, I do. But I also believe that there is mental baggage that Tennessee takes into this game. I don't care who you are. If you lose 16 of 17 to an opponent, your confidence level against them is not great. Now, they can talk all the bravado they want, but if they get off to a poor start tomorrow, Neyland Stadium will get tight, players will get tight. I happen to think Tennessee will get off to a good start and negate some of this thought. But just as insurance, I'm teasing Tennessee down from 10.5 to 4.5. And a 2-team teaser, both games have to win. I think Auburn -1 with Tennessee -4.5 will win. Now, let's go to the pros.
To the NFL.
Yes, I am taking the Titans. Number 1, I'm in Nashville. It's good for business. Number 2, how's that for honesty?
I like that, George.
Yeah. Number 2, I kind of think they're going to finally get out of their way and get something done. They will make a real attempt to get Derrick Henry going. And the fact of the matter is, we now know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you don't get Derrick Henry going, with the way the Titans are constructed today, they're not going to win. I think they're going to make a real effort to get him involved and get him involved in the right way. Not all this wide sweep stuff, but north and south, up the middle, where he does his best work. I'm not saying it's going to be a masterpiece, but I think the Titans are going to find a way to win. And last and certainly least, a hideous game. Houston can't score a lick. They are better. The Texans are better under Lovie Smith. But Chicago at home, under a field goal, take the Bears.
That's an easy pick right there.
Oh, really?
I think it is. I mean,
well, why didn't you take it?
I don't. It's not. This isn't Billy's bets of the weekend.
Yeah, but as bad as I've been, we might as well let you do it.
When are we going to go to the bullpen here?
I don't know. I've sucked.
I think your arm's getting a little bit tired.
I think a lot of innings,
a lot of
mileage.
Innings. Can't be worked this
much.
You
get to this age, you may have to either skip a turn or get 5 days rest as opposed to 4.
There's some tread on those tires.
Those are my bets of the day. And you know what that means? We're done. In 13 minutes, we will rejoin you with Friday Night Live here in our studios. For Billy Derrick, for Zach Womble, for Seth Wickersham, and anybody else you want to throw out there.
Eddie George.
Why not? George Plaster. See you in 13 minutes.